All of this is the equipment needed to make the perfect crop and make the most out of one field. Now, it looks like there's a lot, it looks kind of confusing. It's not really, because I have got this very simple step-by-step guide that you can follow, and it will make sure you can maximize profits from every single harvest you do. So let's have a look at what needs to be done. Right, so we're just coming up to the end of our first job, which is spreading lime. Now, you may notice that, we start off with 14,000 litres, so it does consume quite a lot of lime, but thankfully lime is cheap, and we only have to do it every 2 to 3 years. What lime will do is add a nutrient to the soil, and it helps promote soil health, and it will help your fertilizer. I think? No, that's the wrong word. It will help your yield, basically. And I think it's like 15% as well, so liming is it does have a significant impact on how your crop is going to yield. So lime it every 3 years or 2 years. Or just check the field information and look for the prompt that says needs lime. And then you should be golden. So we've used like 5,000 litres now, and we're just about getting to the end of the field. Imagine having to do this every year, it would be a costly thing, wouldn't it? Another thing about lime spreading as well is once you've finished the job, don't just sit at the end of the field and do this, because you can see it will continue to spread. Never do this, because you'll soon run out of lime. Another trick as well, a word of advice, is every other fertilizer will only do solid fertilizer. So you can see here, solid fertilizer, solid fertilizer, solid fertilizer. The Bredel K105 is the only one that has the option to do lime. This, of course, is base game only. I've not got any modifications. So, yeah, we've got to have this one. And it can be slightly expensive once you've put the extension and the expanded spreading discs. But they are worth it in the long run, and it makes your life a hell of a lot easier. Right, so up next is mulching. And now, the thing about mulches is, unlike the lime spreader, wherever it may have gone here, so we can see here that it doesn't have a suggested horsepower requirement. It just tells you the width, the weight, the capacity, and the work speed. Now, if we go to the mulcher, we will have an engine power requirement, a weight, a work width, a work speed. So the one that we're using requires 270 horsepower. So the tractor that we are using, which is the large Massey Ferguson 9Fs, it has 425 horsepower, so it's well within the working width, the working capacity of the engine. I'll get my words out one day. Now, my rule of thumb with this one is have around about 250 horsepower, and you should pull it at a full load relatively easily. So what is mulching? Well, mulching it just breaks down the stems and adds, it's sort of like you would mulch your plant bed, where you spread your wood, your bark. This is kind of the same principle, it just adds organic matter to your field, and once it gets cultivated or ploughed into the field, worms will eat away at it and it becomes fertiliser, helping to improve soil health. I keep using that term a lot in this video, but regenerative farming is the big craze at the moment, especially within Europe, so we gotta follow them rules. Not only will mulching actually create soil health, it will help the soil get healthy, but it will also add a 2% yield bonus to your overall yield, so you will benefit from doing this job. Now, Worker B, who is like your interactive assistant who can help you, he always misses out this step for some reason, and I'm not too sure why. There are some crops where this isn't applicable, but if you're just doing grain, then always mulch because you'll get an extra 2% bonus. Right, so the next job is we're going to have to sort of shuffle this around in the soil, which can be done with either a cultivator or a plough, or any other tilling pieces of equipment, which we'll find here, apart from the stone picker and the mulcher, of course. But a plough, a cultivator, a disc harrow, a power harrow, or a subsoiler will work, and a spader will too. Nobody ever spades, nobody really subsoils. I mean, it's an easier version of ploughing because you can get this, but I mean, you can just go to King Mods and get one of these, and it's much better. Apart from the fact that you can't change its colour. But other than that, it's a golden mod. It works 9 meters. This one would be good, but it's broken. And so, what should we do? Should we plough or should we cultivate? Now, normally you would only need to plough is if you look at your info box at the bottom. The farmland, it says 46, owned by me, fertilised 0%. And there's no green writing that says needs ploughing. So we can get away with cultivating. A rule of thumb is you would only need to plough if you have done root crops. So you've done things like this field over here. Or, you know, things like potatoes, carrots, beets, sugar beets, red beets, parsnips, anything like that, then you would have to plough it back because it does take away a lot of nutrients, so you've got to rotate the soil using the plough. And for this one, I'm going to show you an interesting feature in Farming Simulator 25. Now, this one says AI worker. We don't care about the AI worker. I don't like hiring workers. So there's this one. So you can change the number of headlands you want to do. Could do 4, could do 6. It seems a bit pointless. Well, I like to do 2 with a cultivator, and shorelines I'll put it as on. 5 meters is the auto width, that's the width of the cultivator, and it will draw out our lines for us. So we just got to line ourselves up, press B, and then we just got to listen out for the noises. So what this will do now is it will headland it for us. Now we do have to turn the corners and stuff like you do in real life. This just gives us a path to follow, and it's a fantastic feature. It can get a bit buggy with certain shaped fields, but 9 times out of 10 it's an absolutely solid feature. So yeah, as we can see with the soil, we've got stones and it's becoming more like a composting material. It looks more like dirt rather than straw, and that means we can start to seed on that bit. But we've got to do something about them stones, otherwise your equipment will be destroyed. Well, not destroyed, but it will take a lot more damage. And I like them little beeps that this provides as well. So it's tell us we've activated. We just joined the lane with that little bird chirping thing. And then as we get to the end, we'll hear a chup chup and then a chup 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 as we get to the end of the field. So the 2 is we're coming to the end of the row. So yeah, 3 is the end of the row, 6 is the end of the field. There's a bit of a delay on this one though. I'm not sure I like it. But yeah, this is cultivating. So what we do when we cultivate is we create a headland or 2 and then we go up and down. Most people like to start in the middle and do the ups and downs before they do the headland. It's entirely your option. You can farm how you see fit. If you want to do it unrealistically, do it unrealistically, who cares? We're not here to judge you. If you want to do it like this, we're not here to judge you. Some people might say it's wrong. If you want to start in the middle, some people again might say it's wrong. It's your preference, your farm, your choice. As long as you get the work done, that's all that really matters. A thing I forgot to mention is that cultivators come in 2 different shapes. So we have here, a cultivator prepares the field for the next sowing. This is the one that we're using right now. But then we've got things like this, where it says the shallow cultivators are used for shallow cultivation or seedbed creation of fields. Now this will do the same job as a cultivator. You won't get stones, and you won't, with the other cultivator you won't get the seedbed option. With this one you will. But I prefer to use these types of cultivators because those seem like a thing that you have to do once you've done this job. So like if you've ploughed, you can get a cultivator and you can create a seedbed with it. But rolling the field is much more efficient, so it's why I'd much rather do it this way. And I think it helps with the weed control doing it this way as well, which more on the weeding later. But I'd have to run an experiment on that to see if it's true or not. But yeah, I tend to use these deeper cultivators because they're just so much more authentically pleasing than... What's going on with this? Okay, so that wants me to do like a half run here. I don't mind. I mean, I suppose it levels it off towards the end to make sure each run's even. But yeah, these type of cultivators are much more efficient, in my opinion. But again, each to their own. If you want to shallow cultivate, I'm not here to stop you. But this, for me, is the method that I've brought up doing. So this is the method I'm going to bring to Farming Simulator. Right, so we're coming up to the end now, and you can see that there's still a bit of ground deformation dotted here and there around the field. We don't need to worry about that just yet, because the next job will clear all that up for us, including all of these stones, because the stones will ruin your equipment a bit quicker than usual. I'm not too sure on how much. I've never really seen a big difference of having stones in your field and how much damage it does. Maybe they've changed it in FS25, because I have gotten into the habit of FS22 and FS19 of getting rid of stones as soon as they appear. In fact, it wasn't FS19. I started it in FS22 over the last year or two. But yeah, I've never really noticed a big change in anything. So yeah, who knows if stones are needed to be removed. But there are two ways you can remove them. If they're small stones like they are, then you can roll them out of your field. Or you can use a stone picker, and you can then actually turn them into cement or lime. And both of them have benefits. You can make a lot of money from cement, or you can have some free fertilizer for your ground with lime. So it's a win-win situation regardless of how you look at it. You could even use the cement, sell it, buy lime with it. So you know, it's just how you prefer to do it. It's not me telling you how to do it. You can do whatever you want. It's your farm, your rules, your game. Who cares? Right, so this is a roller. Now if you look at the field now, I've run over it a little bit here, but you can see it's blue. This indicates that the field has been cultivated. Now if we shallow cultivated, this colour would appear, rather than this one, because it will still have some stubble tillage. And I don't really think it does anything, it just is a visual effect more than anything. But as we said with the shallow cultivators, it will create a seedbed state. And to me it seems pretty pointless, because you can get this thing that is 12.3 meters wide, or you can get an even bigger version. It rolls the stones into the ground for you. And look, we are making a seedbed. So it really doesn't matter how you do it. I prefer this method, because it's just more satisfying, because you can also remove every single piece of ground deformation that you've caused, and it's got such a wide width, it doesn't matter if you're a little bit inaccurate with your corners, you're never going to create your own tyres on the floor. The only issue is with this is you can't raise or lower it, so until you get off that field you're going really, really slowly. And even at this stage, ground deformation isn't a big issue, because we're going to have to re-roll once we've seeded anyway. More about that later. But yeah, it's got rid of more stones. I think there's some stones still in the ground. But look at it go, it's pretty big. It's pretty wide. And it doesn't require a lot of horsepower either. We're only like 120 horsepower for this, which is quite small for the work width that you've given. Oh yeah, manoeuvrability with this thing is absolutely shocking as well. I didn't want to do any work on that field. Leave me alone, just let me roll my field. Right now, the next job is going to be seeding. So we've got our seed bed right here. It's looking nice and cyany turquoise colour. And so we're going to lower our seeder. And then this crop cannot be planted in August. What does this mean? It means we need to look at the crop calendar, because we play with seasons, duh. And you can play with seasons switched off, and you get like a sandbox game where it's just a free-for-all for everybody. But this, with seasons, adds a little bit of organisation, planning, preparation, and time management skills, which are three things that I love. And also the financial planning too, which I'm a little bit rusty with. I always end up getting a bank loan. But if we look at these charts, it's not even a chart actually, it's a duration of which can be planted and which can be harvested. So, green means plant, orange means harvest. So, what does that mean for us? So this means that each individual month has its own sort of means of doing things. So like here, if we wanted to do barley, we had to follow this around. And we've got barley. So we're in August, we can't do anything with barley. It was harvestable last month. Next month, it's plantable. We go down to wheat. So we could harvest it this month, which we did on the field previously, that we're working on now. And it's next month when we can actually seed the crop. Now, every single crop will have its own set thing. So if you look here, carrots. I don't know why this is in a weird order. It wasn't like this earlier, but it is what it is. So if we want to do carrots, we can plant it from April all the way up to July, and then we can harvest it from August all the way up to November. Now, wherever you plant will determine where you can harvest. So if you plant in April, you can harvest in August, plant in May, do September, plant in June, October, July, November. There are some crops where the window is a bit bigger for the planting than it is for the harvest. So crops like red beets, where you can do April, May, June. No, I tell a lie. It's actually not that way on this game, actually. Oh, here we are, peas. So we can plant in March or April, but we've got a 3-month window. So if you plant in March, you can harvest in July. And if you plant in April, you can do August into September. And yeah, I think that's the only crop that has a difference. Oh, well, green beans do. But yeah, just plant as early as possible. That's my advice to you. So we're going to go ahead and skip ahead, and then we're going to plant. And there's only a little bit of information I need to tell you on planting, so it's not too big of a deal. Right, so we've had to speed up time a little bit because it was raining when we first started the month. But now we're on to the planting of wheat, since the crop calendar tells me that I can plant it here. So there's 2 things that you need to know about planters. As we can see with our capacity just above the speedometer, ours just says we've got 5,800 litres of wheat seeds. Now seeds, you don't buy them as the individual crop. You can go down here, get some big bags, and it'll just be seeds. Them seeds will become anything you want it to be. Kind of unrealistic, it is what it is. But the seeders themselves, they come in 2 varieties. And we've got these, where you can only have seeds. It'll only plant seeds. Again, this one will only plant seeds. But then you've got something like this Great Plains seeder, where it'll have seeds as well as solid fertilizer. And this will kill 2 birds with 1 stone, basically. You can plant it and fertilize the seeds as you're planting them, which helps you to do 2 jobs in one. Then you just got to go around and fertilize 1 more time later. We're unfortunate, we don't have a capacity for fertilizer, so we're just going to seed, and we're just going to have to manually fertilize twice before harvest. But anyway, what else can I say about seeding? Well, let's turn it off. So yeah, we've unfolded it, we lower it, we drop it, and then we go forward. And that's all there is to it. You'll see the ground change colour. That's normal. Don't worry about that. And yeah, that's seeding for you. You can get planters as well, and they'll do more crops like corn, sunflowers, cotton, beets. Or you can get specialised planters like the potato planter, or the sugarcane planter, or the poplar planter, which is also a tree planter. I'll do more about them in a different video. We don't need to worry about them today. We're just doing the basics of farming and using arable land to our advantage. Right, so the seeds are now in the process of germinating, which means, right, these shaders, like, ever since they've done this patch, right, there's some just weird entities going on with how things work. However, we are now going to fertilise our crops. We'll notice the texture get even darker, which is nice, but we're going to deform the ground a bit, but it's okay because what's another field requirement? Rolling the field again. Oh god, I love rolling. But anyway, yeah, we're going to fertilise this. I'm not using the full width. I don't know why not. I just can't be bothered to lining myself. It'll just cause some funky lines. But yeah, this will give it a 50% fertilisation state, which is good. This will bring the total up to around about 77% yield bonus, which isn't 100, but we're working on it. So yeah, and the thing I like about fertilising too is solid fertiliser doesn't require a lot, and the width is humongous. Now you can fertilise with other things like sprayers, these things, but they do come at a bit of a width deficit. So you get 36 metres on that one. Oh, you got 54 metres on that one, so I guess you could go a bit bigger than 42. 42 is what you get with solid. But again, I think liquid fertiliser is a little more expensive, and you use a significant amount more. We just ran over a pedestrian. It's okay. They survived. They survived like a 10-ton tractor falling on them. It's okay. Right, so we're going to leave him here because we are going to have to use this machine again. We're not going to stick him in the pile just yet. So yeah, the next job is to roll the field again. Now, I've already told you what rolling is, and I'll just show you. It's actually a field requirement this time. So here it says it needs rolling, and we just saw little pop-ups here, see at the bottom. There's weeds growing. I'll show you how to get rid of them. There's 3 methods. It's easy, and it's a lot easier than ploughing, but ploughing will eliminate any weed. Me, you know, pros and cons to everything, isn't there? Right, so we're gonna roll. So right, we're rolling again, and it's because we've deformed the field a little bit, and now it's a field requirement. So we'll start to see the ground get lighter this time, which is good, not bad. But again, this, I don't know what this does realistically. I think it just pushes the seeds into the ground and makes a nice bed for them to germinate on. I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong in that, but that's the only assumption that I could think of. I only really ever rolled in real life just to even out the ground ready for planting. I've never actually done it once the shit's been planted. Right, so the field work for this month is now completed. So let's just jump out of here for now. We've only got one more job left to do. So we're on a 77% yield bonus, 50% fertilised, and we've got 2 jobs left. We've got to fertilise one more time and then get rid of some pesky weeds. But before we do that, we have to skip forward to next month to allow things to establish themselves. Right, so we're in the next month. And you can see our fertilisation state is not dark blue, which means it's only 50%. But if we look at this, what kind of colour is that? It looks more towards this side. So one could only assume that it is small weeds. Now, different weeds require different things. So this is a weeder, this is a weeder, this is a weeder, this is a weeder, this is a hoe. So small weeds require a weeder, medium require a hoe, and then your large ones require a sprayer with a little hint of herbicide, wherever it is. Here we are. Herbicide is expensive. It's 19,000 for 16,000 litres, whereas a weeder, your biggest one, 67,000. So if we were to buy a spreader, you get this, 30,000, 18,000, so you'd be about, what, 46,000? And you'd have to do that every year if you were on top of them. And then you can go here, 67,000, or even 46,000, 41,000, or 6,500 for the teeny tiny one. We're going to go big or go home, because we want to get the jobs done really, really quickly. And we've got a nice case magnum waiting for us, ready to pull this. Now this thing is extremely wide, and I've made a boo-boo. What is wrong with my setup? You've got 5 seconds to think of why. If you said I'm using regular wheels, you'll be absolutely right, because I would destroy my crops because I play with crop destruction on. So let's send him over here. We're going to need a medium tractor. So this is where we need to pay attention to this. 200 horsepower is the requirement. Now, large tractors, as a rule of thumb, do not allow you to use narrow wheels. I mean, you can get narrow twin wheels on this one, but they won't destroy the crops, but it looks a bit ugly buggly. Whereas this one we can go for something 200 horsepower. I want a red one to match the colours, so we'll go with McCormick. I'm not a big fan. Let's get a Case Puma. Let's do 302, and then we're going to go narrow wheels. Now this means we can drive over the crops whenever we want to, which is fun, fun, fun. So here we go. Let's connect him back up and let's get to that field. Now, when I told you this was wide, I was not kidding. It's ginormous. And now what I'd like to do is, as I just run down this field a little bit, I just want to keep my eye on this to make sure it is removing the weeds, and it looks like it is. We can see them removing themselves. So yes, we picked the right choice. So yes, small weeds, this one. Medium weeds, a hoe. Big weeds, herbicide. Now the issue with herbicide is you'll still get the dead weeds in your field, and that still reduces your yield by around about 5%. Now Farm Simulator 22, you could remove them by using a hoe or a weeder. I'm not too sure how it plays out on this game. I would assume that a hoe would remove them when they die, or wither, I should say. I can't use that word on YouTube anymore. So yeah, this is a weeding, and again it's just very similar to rolling, big whip, and yeah, we're just getting rid of some weeds. Increase that yield by destroying living, breathing plant life. Because what weeds do in real life is they suck away all the nutrients, so then your crop can't establish itself as well as it should. So we need to get rid of them because they're pesky and they like to multiply. In real life they do. Because like every single weed can produce like 1 million spores. It's ridiculous. Right, so it looks like we are now finished with weeding. Yeah, thank you for waiting. I'm going to squash you now. Thank you. Right, let's get it over here. Put it back in the pile. And there is one thing that I did realise while I was saying that we need narrow tyres. What's this, John Deere got? You got until now to realise. If you said it's got normal wheels, you were absolutely correct. That will destroy our crop, whereas this will not. So we're just going to swap the tractors over, and we're going to go ahead and just do that final fertilization state. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, we will have a 100% field bonus. Let's have a look. Get out the way. Why did you stop? Just commit to going forward. Jesus. That's right, you will wait for me. Agriculture is happening. I've got a nation to feed. Right, so now we can see the fertilization state changing, which is good. It's what we want to see. We've not used much fertilizer, like I said. And yeah, the field is looking better every single pass. Yeah, there's all the equipment we used for this. Here's our big silo. I hope you like it. It gives me sort of like Disney World vibes, so I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it. And you know what? Looking at this, look at how amazing this map looks. All the mist just on the ground, just waiting for me to push through it and it disperse. Like, the atmospheric upgrades they've made to this game are phenomenal. Giants, bravo. There's a lot of people that say FS25 is a lot better. Mechanically it is. Like, the game isn't perfect. It's 2 weeks old, or just over. So yeah, we expect bugs. We can't expect a newborn baby to start walking after 2 weeks. So don't expect Giants to have a fully functional game after 2 weeks. There's going to be a lot of things that people will discover that needs to be fixed. You just got to keep them bug reports going in. Keep them going in, because then Giants will fix them. Anyway, field is now done. We have finished, finally. And let's bring him over. Let's jump down the ditch. There we are. Nice and easy, does it? So, our field right now should be 100% all around. Let's have a look. And would you look at that 100% yield bonus. That means if you had a 0% yield bonus and you got 10,000 litres of the crop, with a 100% yield bonus on the same field, you get 20,000 litres. That's a big jump for a little bit of extra work. Now, last year, I love the look of this silo. This is a keeper, I'm not going to lie, I am keeping this. But yeah, this silo is 12,641 litres. So let's go over to harvest, and once I've finished the harvest, we'll compare the figures. Right, so now we're in July, and it is time to begin harvesting our crops. So yeah, we're going to see how it goes, and hopefully we get a hell of a lot better of a yield. We should do. We should get more than 12,000 litres from this. I say in a hopeful manner. We can see some of the deformation from the weeding in that corner over there. It's not too bad. But we are in the middle of outrunning the snow in July. July, we've got snow. Giants, come on! I don't like harvesting in the snow. Why is it snowing in the middle of July in Europe? Like Canada you would expect it, but not Europe. Jesus. But you know what, the snow's coming in a weird way as well. I think this is a bit bugged. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so... Are we gonna make it? We're not, because it's already infiltrated our field. But we're already on 4,000 litres, and we've only made it to the bottom. But yeah, it's looking like we might need to wait this out. Right, well, a little over an hour has passed, and ooh, that sent me a little bit sideways. But yeah, an hour has passed, and we're finally able to get back to the harvest. The snow is depleting back to the underworld. I mean, July and snow is a bit of a ridiculous thing. But yeah, we're going to go back to the harvest now. So let's have a look at how these figures compare to the previous harvest from when we first joined the map. Right, so that's the last of the harvest, and we got a significant amount more than when we first started. So we had 12,000 and something litres inside this cacophony. And in our harvest we've got 18,408 litres. That's a big improvement. A very, very big improvement. Like 6,000 litres improvement. That's gonna feed a lot of bloody chickens. So yeah, there is the basics on how to farm and get a perfect yield. And now I'm going to add a disclaimer. You don't need this many tractors. If you're on a single player, having 1 or 2 tractors is fantastic. Having 2 prolongs the life of each tractor because you're not using the same tractor for every single job. And the older the tractor gets and the more hours it clocks up, makes it more expensive to repair every single year. So having 2 is a good middle ground. Having 3 is a little bit better, but just have what you need for your farm. I'm not going to tell you how to play the game. I'm not going to say you need a tractor for every job. You don't. It's just stupid to work that way. It costs way too much money. But yes, this is it from me, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. And if you do, like it. If you've learned something about Farming Simulator, like the video. If you enjoy this thing, then like the video, subscribe to my channel. And yes, I will see you all in the next video, where we're going to look at some of the finer points of farming on this game, and things you might not know as well.